We think we ought to start with just the blade grabs, you think? That'd be the simplest way. Okay, so there's a few actions you can do at the sword if you're quick and if you run into a roadblock, i.e. you and your partner strike into each other and you have to meet at the strongs here. So in this case, I can't, winding around is gonna be real hard. I don't wanna remove my blade from his because then he's just gonna burn through and kill me. So what I could do in this case, if I'm not gonna directly wrestle him, one of the other options I've got is where I can take I can do a sword taking and potentially strike him with my blade at the same time. So the first one we're gonna try out here, let's do the grab it, we're gonna grab the bind. So the first one I'm gonna do here, we're both putting pressure on here, so anyway. So I'm gonna keep pressure on his sword, I'm gonna take my offhand, shoot out, grab the bind, and as I do that, I'm gonna bring my sword in, my handle in, hook around his forearm and drag it through to break his grip. Once I've gotten there, I've basically got both weapons, so I could at this point just gig him with both of the blades at once. Let me do that again. You got some nice bruises on you. So ends up something like that. That is scoreable in the tournament if you disarm somebody. You happen to stab them within about the same time, then we'll count the stab on that as well. Let me show that one more time slow. So bind, reach up, grab. I'm gonna bring my pommel up and around. I'm gonna pull it through. So if you notice here, I'm gonna try and pull it through underneath his cross guard if I can get it, because I wanna rake that across his hand and his thumb and try and break that grip. And once I've got that, both weapons, if he's close enough, I can gig him. If not, I have two weapons.
I appreciate that your immediate instinct is to put up your fists.
Okay. All right, any questions on that one?
If you do get disarmed, is there anything you can do to not lose points, or?
Nope, fight's over at that point. Basically, okay, if you're, look boy, all right. Yeah, if you lose your footing, so I see if I see somebody's knee hit the ground, or basically that's like the limit of, that's like the earliest point where I would call somebody's lost their footing, I'm calling a halt. If you lose a piece of gear, mask, plate, glove, weapon, for whatever reason, calling a halt. If it's because somebody took it away from you, then it's that. However, if we get into this kind of situation, tournament-wise, if we get to this situation where he starts to grab my weapon, he grabs my weapon, starts that, and I go up here, I could potentially, I'll retain points as long as I can hold on to this, and then when we hit a 3 count, director's gonna say, hey idiots, break it up, and we're gonna go back to where we started. That's not to say I couldn't do something like come here, he tries to do a taking from me, he tries to do a taking, I grab here, and then end up doing something like that,
Okay.
taking him down.
But you can't just tackle him with your bare hands.
No, you can't just tackle him with your bare hands, yeah. The idea being there, yeah, we don't want anybody doing that.
That seems
The other-
TKOs.
The other thing I also want to stress, which I'm gonna explain at the tournament too, is all the wrestlings, you have to have both feet planted on the ground.
No kicks, okay.
So you can't kick, you can't spear tackle, you can't do any of that kind of stuff. Okay, let's give that blade strip a try. So I'll just show you one more time. Strike to a bind, grab the bind, pop this up and through, pull away. If they want to hold on to it, no problem, because you're going to find that the edges of your weapons are going to land nicely on the back of their neck.